For you, the ragged edge is but a walk in the park. For you, second place is never good enough. To you, technology is a tool powered by sheer guts. Find out which of the world's best offshore racers will be APBA Offshore Proven in Key West, Florida. For the first time in 8 years, the APBA UIM Offshore World Championships have returned to magnificent Key West, Florida. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Welcome to Key West, Florida. Today is the Super Show from the APBA Offshore World Championships. Super Cat, Super Cat Light, and Super V will be contested here today in our coverage. Now earlier this year, John Tomlinson and Hugh Fuller took this beautiful number 14 Drambuie Ice Boat to the Super Cat National Championship of the APBA Offshore Baja Pro Series. However, here in Key West, they won't need to run number 14 anymore. Due to that national championship, they get to run US 1. US 1, however, isn't just a new number, it's a brand new boat. And that's where we find my colleague, Bill Adam. Bill, why would John Tomlinson and Hugh Fuller bring a new boat to the World Championships?
Well, a rental car company used to use the old adage that because they were in second place, they try harder. That may work for car renting, but not for racers. To be number one, you always want to stay a step ahead of the competition. You want to be innovative, you want to be perfect, and have the best possible equipment. What Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson have decided to do is to check out this boat to see how it'll perform against the competition for next year. They're already planning that much in advance. Now they've got a good leg up in the competition. They know what works, what doesn't work, and if they can perfect it to be that championship-winning boat again next year.
If you saw our coverage of the factory classes from here in Key West World Championships, you know that Hurricane Michelle wreaked a lot of havoc down here, and what has normally been contested over 5 days in years past has taken us 2 weeks this year to complete at the World Championships. And Bill, the race course itself has wreaked a lot of havoc for some of these teams.
It has wrecked a lot of boats for some of the teams, and you can see that it is a long course that runs in many different types of water. When you come down the channel, it is fairly flat water, fairly calm, but out in the ocean, it's brutal.
Well, let's go back and take a look at the highlights from 2 weeks ago when we thought the World Championships would be completed in 5 days. This is the start of the Super Cat race 2 weeks ago.
And you see there's a great battle going on early between the Drambuie on Ice boat and the Dawn Q. They were dead heat. A lot of air being caught by both boats, and this is where they started to get out into the rougher water. You can see they're starting to catch a lot of air. It really gets risky out here. Look at that. Look at the boats flying.
WHM Motorsports, that bright yellow boat number 5, a winner on the national tour at Corpus Christi, Texas earlier this year.
You know, and again, these conditions, it is so difficult in the rough water. It not only can crack a boat in half, but, and look at this now, you see, going around these corners here, just starting to get tougher and tougher. When the props come out of the water, it is so easy to spin up one more time, like, look, right through the spray.
Drambuie on ice, Hugh Fuller, John Tomlinson out front, and one boat, Mr. Solo. Upside down, we talked about how brutal this course could be. And now the restart, and we're back to racing. And these two boats right here, Drambuie and Ice on the inside and Spirit of Puerto Rico. There's some history here. These two boats battled side by side, and some controversy at Sarasota, and maybe here again.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be controversy again. You can see Spirit of Puerto Rico turned across the bows of Drambuie on Ice. Now, John Tomlinson's boat is not turning well, so he could not really take a tight line, and look how close they come.
That is something that Tomlinson and Fuller have talked about all week long, is that this boat just does not turn very well.
It's pushing through the turns pretty good on the flat water. In the rough, it turns fine. This calm water turn in the harbor here, we got to try some work. We got to work on the balance on the boat. We're still, everything we're doing on this boat with propellers, it's a different boat. What we've learned on that boat doesn't necessarily work on this boat. So we got a learning curve to go through with this boat.
But Bill, that's exactly what you talked about at the beginning of the show. That's why Fuller and Tomlinson brought this boat here to learn.
You learn from mistakes, and here's another boat too, and they're learning all the time as well. The Tommy Bahama boat really making a charge through the field after initially suffering problems with the hull itself. Now, between the two hulls, there is like a wing, and the wing was dragging in the water early in the race. Look at the boat go now after the wing actually broke right off the boat. It became a rocket ship.
Well, with nothing dragging through the water anymore, Tommy Bahama would rocket to the front, but they would run out of time before they could catch Spirit of Puerto Rico, which had no problems once they got away from Drambuie and Ice to take the win. However, the controversy of that battle with Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson would not go away. The officials would talk about it, eventually giving the win to Spirit of Puerto Rico, and apparently both teams are satisfied with that.
Oh, absolutely. That's not a problem to us at all. Our Mercury-powered skater, we felt like, was in first place, and we just waited till people sorted things out.
Oh, nah, they say whatever happens now is fine, so that's my kind of racing, as long as they just don't come fuss at me afterwards.
We'll see how Hugh Fuller feels the next time they roll out onto the water. President Harry S. Truman spent so much time down here in Key West, they named this building the Little White House. Baja Marine Corporation, Baja you. By Racing Electronics, the official communications provider to the APBA. By Snap-on Tools, the official tool of APBA Offshore. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged Budweiser with the clean, crisp, refreshing taste known only to the king of beer. Welcome back to Key West, Florida, the APBA UIM Offshore World Championships. Let's go back now and take a look at the first day's highlights from Super V, the Lucas Oil Super V Series.
Well, these big Vs, they just might be the loudest race boats in the world. They come down the harbor here, it sounds like 1,000 Harley Davidsons coming into town. And these guys, well, they have had the season that everybody dreams about. Wyatt and Jeff, virtually untouchable for the whole year.
1,000 Harleys, that's a good sound.
Well, I don't know about that, Ralph, but they do have a lot of competition. There are some big cubic inches out here.
This is a boat, ALTRONIX, that should give the ZIPP boat a run for the money. And here's a boat that's been inconsistent, but when it's been on, that CONSECO boat is very, very strong.
They are both strong, actually. Both boats in the picture, the CONSECO SCARAB on the inside, and of course the muscle boat on the outside. They're close, but not quite there.
On board with Craig Berry and Larry Hook, and here is Muscle, Bruce Kruglich, and Dave Branch. If anybody was going to upset the ZIPP boat this year, it might have been Muscle, but not on this day. ZIPP, once again, boy, Jeff and Wyatt just putting everybody away early. Now taking a look at Super Cat Light Inboard. Pepper's a winner on the tour, the national tour, being chased by Team TELLIUM, another winner on the national tour this year.
National champions right there, and you can see dramatically different lines going through this tight corner down inside the harbor. And this really was fun to watch over these races, and that you see some teams deliberately want to take a long outside line carrying as much momentum, whereas other teams wanted to do tighter lines, give up a bit of momentum, but then try and accelerate back out of that tight corner.
Gary and John were very good in rough water this year, and so Team TELLIUM having a good run here on Wednesday, and ZIPP Express, the 3-7s of Neil Wobbe and Dan Francis.
Yeah, they do. They have had a great season, and boy, they are competitive virtually every place. You see them flying in some of the rough water off coast right now.
In motion, boat number 11, Jerry Sorrentino and Norman Teague, up to third after dealing with some penalties for passing infractions.
And sometimes frustration like that just tends to really get you going even harder than ever.
In the outboard division is a two-boat battle. FLOWMASTER on the inside with the canopy, and SNAKEMAN battling with them.
And again, you see the difference in lines. You see that the FLOWMASTER boat taking a tighter inside line. SNAKEMAN tries to keep momentum up going up the outside, and it's almost a give and take at this point. John David, Troy Hannon, an old friend of mine, they dominated in this particular class. Troy used to be a mechanic who actually came out and helped me with my boat when I didn't know squat about boating.
Well, they knew something here today. They were able to hold on for the win. As you take a look at the results for the three different classes in Super Cat Light, let's go to Victor Lane. Here's Bill Adam.
John, I say you just got a lot of compliments from your co-driver. They were saying a lot of good things about you.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got finished with this race, and I reached over, gave him a big handshake, and said, man, if you can race like that here in Key West, you can definitely call yourself an offshore racer. The water here is just incredibly draining. It's really tough out there.
How difficult is it to come here not having run before and to be faced with conditions like this?
What I decided to do is come out here and say, okay, we're going to be safe. We're going to respect the water here in Key West. This is my first time racing here. and everything just felt really, really good. So we just kept moving on.
Well, the boats are heading out for round number 2 to decide the World Championships. We'll have those world titles ready to go when we come back to Key West. Stay with us. One of America's most famous authors, Ernest Hemingway, called Key West, Florida home. Next time you visit Key West, make sure you stop by and visit the Hemingway House. Getting ready to decide the world champions as you take a look at the lineup for Super Cat. And you know, they have this new shorter course that they're running down here, and it has really improved the viewing for the race fans with the action right in front of them.
For the good of the sport, Bill, I think what we really need is for people to be able to see the excitement of it, and it's fair for everybody. So the short courses to us is just as much of a challenge for the turns. And the big change in offshore has been years ago, the boats may be a half-mile apart. Today, 50 feet is a long ways. And when you're down inside of the canopy, we really depend on the professionalism of everybody when you go into a turn, and we have no problem with that. And experience counts in this sport. And experience to me has always been recognizing a mistake the second time you make it.
I know, Bill, that the long course is traditional, but I love the short course.
And I love these boats. 38 to 40-foot monsters, a pair of 495 to 510 cubic inch motors. They are the Rockets, and the V's basically the same. 38 to 40 V hulls, no superchargers.
3, 2, 1, green flag.
We're underway, and World Championships are on the line.
And this is one of the tightest starts we have seen. Look how closely packed the boats are. WHM getting covered by spray right now.
It's a beautiful sunny day, but it looked like he was driving through a hurricane with all that water. Look at this.
And again, look how close they are. We're on board Drambuie on ice. Look at Spirit of Puerto Rico just off the side.
Okay. Go. Go.
Boy, that water's flat right there.
That's on board with the Nemshoffs, and the voices sound calm right now, Bill.
Yeah, this is just waiting for the water to change, because once they get outside the harbor, it gets so rough. Now remember, on the previous race, the Drambuie on ice was very fast down the straights, but did not want to turn. Look at that, completely out of the water. You could see the entire drive.
That's a big 40-foot skater, too, so when it comes out of the water, that's a lot of boat flying through the air. Going back now for the Super Cat Light Start. And the way the World Championships work is there's 2 races. He who scores the most points over 2 races will be crowned world champion.
Now, these are slightly shorter boats, 30 foot to 37.5 feet long, a pair of twin 502 cubic inch Mercruiser HP 500s or the EFI motors. The outboards can either run twins or triples.
Green flag.
And they're underway. And a beautiful start. Look at that.
We have been so lucky here. Just the weather absolutely perfect today. The crowd is a huge crowd watching this action.
On board the Volvo
Don't go left
Pinta
yet.
onboard
Over
camera.
there. 5,000 RPMs.
You see it?
Nope, go straight yet. It's gonna come up. Well,
Yeah,
all right, keep
they're
going.
looking for the marker right now.
There it is, straight ahead of you.
That's good. Just a little talk back and forth, absolutely guaranteeing no mistakes. Now remember, if they miss one buoy, that effectively kills their chances.
Trim it in.
You're all right. Wrong turn.
Okay, trim it in. Slow.
You saw how closely he was to
Go
that
back
buoy.
at it.
Nicely done. Very smooth line taken around there.
And here you see FLOWMASTER
Oh, look at him work that wheel.
trying to get the boat turned.
Whoa, all over the place. It is dancing across the surface. He is doing everything to try and keep those drives straight. Anytime you have got the drives turned on the boat, you're scrubbing off speed.
The boat you were on board with was that blue and white one. And here's a good look from the Key West Lighthouse Museum. A great view. You can see the whole island from up there. Welcome back to the World Championships here in Key West. And you're looking at Duval Street, the most famous street in all of Key West. And you can be sure all the racers and the TV crew had a lot of fun on Duval Street. And let's get back to the racing action now. And you know, Bill, one point we need to make is that since there was a 2-week gap, a lot of these teams did a lot of testing in between.
They did, and particularly this team. John Tomlinson has not acquired a reputation by guesswork. He is really one of the better guys to learn from mistakes.
On board, Tommy Bahama.
Whoa, and look at that air.
The father and son team, Mark and Paul Nemshoff, now WHM Motorsports, the winners at Corpus Christi, Texas earlier this year.
You know, that gives us a good example of just how quickly things can change. As we looked over the bow there of the Tommy Bahama boat, things looked perfectly normal. Look how close they're getting here in the corner. They've got to be very careful right there, trying to turn. Very nice, right up tight to the buoy. Now they're trying to accelerate as hard as possible. And again, this is the give and take. How wide do you want to go around those buoys to carry speed?
You can see WHM losing a lot of momentum there on that tight corner through the buoy.
Dan Francis, Wobbe just rocketing down the channel here. They are really running well today. Again, the water today, compared to a couple of weeks ago, a lot smoother. Conditions have changed, made it much better for all the racers.
That's a big 36-foot spectrum. Boy, they've jumped out to a huge lead. Look, here's Wednesday's winner, the national champions, Team TELLIUM, all the way back and forth.
Well, one of the problems, again, is because conditions have changed so much, it's almost a guessing game. You can't really take what... Oh, no!
Big problem!
Oh, man, he flipped right over. He caught the sponson and rolled in the corner.
Peppers gets around, Flowmaster gets around, TELLIUM upside down. And in the smoothest part of the water, too, Bill.
It shows you how quickly things can change here. You think you're at relatively a position where you can back off and just kind of take a big deep breath. Well, you can't. Just that fast, things can happen. Unbelievable action right in front of us. Now, you can see both people are out of the boat. The rescue divers, they're the Angels. And here is a replay. Look how fast this takes place. He goes in, the boat starts to rotate, pivot around, suddenly catches and flips that quickly.
And the Angels, the rescue crew, doing a great job being right on the scene. Some of those helicopters you see flying over are not just camera crews that we have out there, but the Angels hovering high above, right there to rescue the drivers. Look at coming to the caution right in front of the piers, and look at how Tommy Bahama getting jammed up on the inside between the pier and WHM.
Yellow flag, yellow flag.
Yellow. Wow, that really was tight. He's coming down the channel probably 130 miles an hour. That would not be a comforting position to be in, to see you're getting squeezed between another boat and the wall.
And the yellow flag is out, so the field will slow down and bunch up. There are the yellow flags waving. There's your Super V leader right there, ALTRONIX.
And isn't that a shock?
Yeah. And the Zenetics guys will be a little surprised to see that. Time now to take a look at our GM Vortec Offshore View. We've been telling you a lot about the brand new Vortec Marine engine. Where does it come from? Right here on the assembly line of the GM plant in Detroit, Michigan. And this is the engine that's going to be a big part of the exciting future of APBA offshore racing. This engine producing over 525 horsepower, and they think they're just scratching the surface of this new technology platform. Over 45,000 of these engines make their way to Mercury every year. Well over 50,000 of these brand new GM Vortec engines ending up in boats around the world. Bill, what an exciting piece of new technology.
I would say I wish I had one of those in the bilge of my boat.
With the huge crowds, the World Championships are already a logistical problem. Throwing a hurricane to become a logistical nightmare. This year's event wouldn't have happened without Mayor Jimmy Weekly, who has presented this checkered flag from APBA CEO Michael Allweiss.
Greatly appreciate the APBA being here with their World Championship boat race this year, and particularly this year because of the events of 9/11, and it really gave the hoteliers and the restaurants and a number of businesses in town a spike that was truly needed. However, it was an unusual situation this year because we had to take 10 days off and bring them back because of a hurricane, Michelle, that we had. But we greatly appreciate the boaters. It's been fabulous. They've been wonderful for the city. They're a bunch of wonderful people. And the citizens of Key West just greatly enjoy watching the races. And we're looking forward to the races coming back again next year and years to come.
Well, we're still under yellow, but everybody here at the APBA has certainly enjoyed coming back to Key West. Why don't you come on back with us right after this commercial break. Beechwood Aged Budweiser with the clean, crisp, refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. Welcome back to the APBA UIM Offshore World Championships. Ralph Shaheen alongside of Bill Adam. The green flag is out. We are back underway with racing. The Drambuie on Ice U.S. #1. Bill, back out front.
It shows they have that #1 in the boat for a very good reason, in that they learn quickly. They are always perfecting. Hugh Fuller, John Tomlinson really were smoked by Spirit of Puerto Rico in the first race. mainly in the corners. That big Drembio on ice did not want to turn well. Today, it looks like the changes they've made are really working, and here is another change. This is a shock.
This would be the biggest upset of the season if the ALTRONIX boat can better the ZIPP boat for the world title.
And maybe the one thing to keep in mind here is ZIPP won the race on Wednesday. There they are right there, so you can see they're close. But I wonder how hard they're pushing, because if they combine the first and the second place, that will give them the title. So maybe they're content to just kind of sit back and play a waiting game, not stress the machinery.
The only race these guys did not win all season of the national championship was the first one, and that's because they pulled out because Wyatt got sick.
It was a remarkable, remarkable year.
Let's take a look now at the Baja Supercat Light Inboard class. Zip Express 777 has slipped back to second place. They've got some competition here now. This is the Eliminator Banana boat. It's a 36-foot Eliminator.
Stay there. We're fine. We're doing fine. We don't have to beat him.
See, now that is the key thing. They're staying aware of exactly who their competition is. They can actually lose this race to the Eliminator boat without losing the gold thereafter, the World Championship. Look how smoothly he's turning that steering wheel also. Very relaxed, very fluid motions.
Bob Leach is the driver of the Eliminator boat. Tom Bruner, the throttle man, both out of California. We have not seen this boat on the national tour. And the boat really that Zip Express has to look out for is in motion, boat number 11.
I know, I'm not. We're just running our race.
Right.
Again, good communication. He's just confirming they don't have to beat him.
We don't have to beat him. Stay here. Don't push to the left now. Stay right here. We're fine.
Adding the extra set of eyes.
He's coming back in on the inside.
That's good. I mean, he's offering his driver just a little extra help coming down the straight, telling him where the boat is. This is wonderful. They are getting both people working really well together as a team.
Once TELLIUM fell out of the race due to their accident, things changed dramatically strategy-wise for Zip Express. So that's the inboard class battle. Now, let's go ahead and switch to the outboards. Here's the twins. This is Supreme Marine, John David.
And Troy Hannon, once again, my old pal, he's out there running. They're really doing a good job with this boat. They had a great race on Wednesday, wonderful victory. And there's the triple leader, Todd, Werner, Michael Anderson, and the FLOWMASTER.
They had a great run through the national championship season.
Very strong.
Back to the big boats. Here is Spirit of Puerto Rico, Russell Wilkin, Jose Yama, Pepe, running in second. And the boat that won the last round of the national championship is making a strong run here to take second place.
Look at that. That was a terrific battle here, right side by side. And they're close. They're actually getting very close right there. Just going around this corner. Just a long turn right here. You see Tommy Bahama being caught a little bit on the outside. Now just watch off the left-hand side. This close racing, we've almost come to expect this every single race, every class for the APBA. It has been tremendous this year.
Without a doubt, the best racing in offshore competition. Boy, the Nemshoffs have really come on strong with this Tommy Bahama boat. This father-son duo spent a lot of time racing on the Great Lakes. They like this rough water.
Okay. Okay. Go. 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 I'm on it.
Well, yeah, you can actually hear. I mean, once before, an earlier race, we heard them kind of talking back and forth. It was almost a calm living room kind of voice. Right there, I think you hear a little bit of tension. He was trying to tell him, get on it, give me some more power. And all of a sudden, the response is back, that's all there is. There ain't no more, Dad.
Puerto Rico just slipped in the turn coming into the harbor.
Oh, Spirit of Puerto Rico flipped.
Well, now I wonder if the pressure got to them. Maybe when they saw Tommy Bahama blowing by, they got under power where they just shouldn't have.
Well, the yellow flag is out, so Fuller and Tomlinson will have to slow down again. And we will sort it all out after commercial break. APBA fans come in all shapes and sizes.
That looks a little like you, Ralph.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Racing this day from the APBA. APBA Offshore Television presents the 2001 Offshore Collection. From Fort Myers to the season-closing Key West World Championships, all the action from the world's most extreme form of racing can be yours. Single tapes just $22.95, or get the complete 8-race package from Fort Myers to Key West for just $154.95. Call 1-800-VIP-FIVE or send check or money order to the address listed. That's 1-800-VIP-FIVE. Well, we are still under caution since Spirit of Puerto Rico flipped. And there is the Spirit of Puerto Rico, Russell Wilkin, Jose Yama. Apparently everybody is okay. The Angel's on the scene quickly.
One of those times you like to be touched by an angel.
Earlier this week, I had the opportunity to meet some folks who certainly could be considered angels as well. After the terrible terrorist attacks that affected our country, all of us have turned our attentions to New York's finest policemen and firemen who have truly become the heroes of our country. APBA is done just the same. Let me introduce you first to Joe Micchio. Joe, New York's finest firemen have really become some big heroes for all of us. Why do we find you here at Key West?
Well, the reason why we're here is one of our good friends, who's also a firefighter, had this trip planned with his brother Rob, who's here with us, Mike Carlo. This was a trip he had planned here this week, and Mike really liked to live, and he would have wanted us to come down here. So we re-put the trip together to bring his brother Rob down, and Rob's really been trying to do everything that Mike would like him to do, and so that's really why we're here.
Upon arriving here, the APBA found out about you folks being here, and they've invited you to do some special things. What are you getting to do?
Well, Rob was the flag waver to start the first race today, and on the pace boats, we're going out on the pace boats, which is just wild. I mean, going out there, it's something like we've never seen before.
Rob Carlo, I understand, obviously, that you come down here with a heavy heart. How has this helped to be a bit of a diversion for you?
I feel somewhat of a connection to my brother when I come down here. He's been down here in the past and really liked Key West. So just being down here on a trip that he had planned and actually was telling us all about it, it just felt good to carry on with what he would want us to do.
Obviously, he was a fun-loving guy. How do you think he would have felt about seeing you get a chance to wave the flags?
He's probably laughing right now. I know he's with us, and he's probably grabbing all his buddies up there going, look, they're doing the right thing and having some fun.
And you have a picture of him?
Yeah, here's a picture of Mike.
These are the men who are the true heroes of our country, and I think we've seen that in many different ways. Mike Carlo, one of the many men and women who became the real heroes of our country after
Heroes of
September
all of
11th.
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back to green flag racing. Drambuie and Ice and Tommy Bahama, and look at Drambuie and Ice just motoring away on board the big boat.
That's particularly impressive because one of the things we have seen all year long in the calm water is the speed of the Tommy Bahama boat. So if they have got this Drambuie boat working that well, boy, that's a strong one today.
Well, and Tomlinson and Fuller wanted to do a little testing for next year. What does this say about the 2002 season of APBA if they're pulling away like this?
Yeah, I think I'd be ready to change classes if I was one of their competitors. That's awesome.
Nemshov's trying to stay within striking distance, but losing ground every second.
That's really amazing. And again, we have seen this big Tommy Bahama boat just so fast under these conditions. And you see the Tomlinson Fuller boat, it's riding so beautifully right now. It's amazing. They took this boat back, and it did not turn well at all. Today, it's unbeatable.
And ALTRONIX doing something that nobody was able to do at all in the 2001 APBA season. They are in front of ZIPP.
Now again, we have to keep one thing in mind. ZIPP won the previous race, and they won it by a fairly substantial margin. All they have to do is to stay within 45 seconds of ALTRONIX, who came second before. They've got it wrapped up.
Here's a quick look at the famous Memorial Park down near the end of Duval Street. Stay with us. We're coming right back to Key West. World Champion Key West. The guys behind the wheel of Extreme Stainless Marine, Bill McComb and Rick Turmel, having a great run. Won their event here on Wednesday, setting themselves up for a world title.
The Vortec boat ran really good that day, and we got about a 22-second lead, and we kept it there, went up and down, and I figured the last lap I'll pour down a little bit, and I was able to get up to a 46-second lead, I believe, in the rough. That's what I wanted to do, get away a little bit. So I have a little lead way there, so I don't need to win the second day. I just need to finish within 40 seconds of him, and we should have the world championship.
But isn't pride going to say, come on, push that throttle out and beat the guy again?
We'll wait till the last lap for that.
Well, this 29-foot Extreme had no problems as well on today's event. As they got out front, nobody challenged them. They won the World Championship, and Bill visited with them in victory lane.
Perfect way to put a smile on your face at the end of the season.
Yes, it is. We had a great day today to build in a hell of a race, and we took it easy for a while and see what played out, and then at the end we decided to take off and let's go get a win and make it decisive.
Is there anything that you could take from the first race, like as a learning proposition, and bring it to this one, or were conditions just too different?
The conditions were very similar to the first day. On the back leg, it was rough. It was even a little bit snottier today. The waves were coming. Yeah, it was good racing. We had a great race, great conditions. We want to thank the Offshore APBA for putting on a great event and our sponsors. They did a great job. We couldn't have done it without you.
So our first set of world champions have been crowned. And we go back to the Super Cat class where Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson are trying to wrap up a world championship in their new Drambuie ice.
Yeah, and it always amazes me too. Anytime you talk to a winner, it doesn't matter how bad the conditions were, it's saying, oh, it was just fine out there today.
Realize this boat is 40 feet long, and it is just screaming across the water. Oh, problems for Cat Can Do.
He's slow. Yeah, they're dead in the water. Keith Barry Glovick.
And another big 40-footer, this one an MTI, an M-Shofts out of Wisconsin.
These are just some of the most stunning boats to see. If you have never been to an APBA race, you have got to come and see and listen in person because they're just overwhelming, the colors and the speed and the sound.
Well, here's a boat that Zip Express was worried about, and when we had the restart in motion, boat number 11 there was able to close in on the restart. They were able to get a great jump. They are the new leader.
They timed that perfectly, really have just jumped out here, and you can see the boat is running beautifully. Look, the attitude of the boat is great. It sounds great. Very strong performance.
It's a big 36-foot skater. And they had some problems in the Wednesday race, so they've got to win this one if they want that world championship. They had a penalty in Wednesday's event. Now we're on board here. This is Zip Express struggling to stay up with In Motion.
And see some of the problems with visibility. Now imagine over our camera lens, that plus the glare of the sun right ahead, and think about the canopies directly ahead. Vision is never what you want. You always imagine things crystal clear, but no, it's never that perfect.
Now let's check out Super Cat Light outboard. Here's a second place boat, but they're closing in on the leader. You can see the other wake just to the right. FLOWMASTER.
Just blowing. Damn. Well, he expressed his frustration at just seeing his lead evaporate, and the reason is one of the three motors is no longer pushing. It is dragging in the water. It's a dead motor.
So SNAKEMAN Racing, your new leader.
And they've had a great battle all race long too, so it's not a case of, Supreme. Oh no, Troy Hannon, John David having a problem. They won Wednesday, a very convincing performance.
Well, that will put the little Cat Can Do boat, boat number 19, out into the lead of that class. What a surprise, because your pal there had this one just easily in hand.
They were locked up, just, listen to the sound of those things. Again, these things just so fast down the channel here. Taking a much tighter line through that final corner. You see him taking off a lot of speed going around there.
So Cat Can Do, the leader in the twin class now. And let's go back to the big boats. And while you're on board, go grab your computer and dial up www.apba-offshore.com. Check us out on the web as well. We'll be right back with more racing from Key West after this. Well, there's a good look at the original Sloppy Joe's, known as Captain Tony Saloon, just across the street.
Wasn't that named after the way you eat lunch? I think that's
Sloppy
what it was.
would be right, yeah.
Boy,
Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson, nothing sloppy about them, huh?
Nah, they are perfection today. They really did learn from the first one, and they just pick up and disappear anytime somebody throws down the gauntlet. Back on board, Tommy Bahama.
We're way over, Bob. Yep.
Well, you heard Paul say he was over prop.
Now, what they're saying is that they were expecting a lot flatter water, a lot higher top speeds. Their propellers are so big, they're not allowing the motors to reach the full RPM.
Flying Tiger, a boat that we saw at Mississauga, Canada, but had problems. It got dropped off the crane and didn't actually get to race. Having a great run here at the World Championships. And another great run. ALTRONIX gonna beat ZIPP here today, but ZIPP still might win the World Championship.
Without question. Once again, it definitely is going to be that case because they are well within not only 45 seconds, it looks like they're within 2 or 3 seconds. That is close enough to give them the overall World Championship title. But it's also a nice feather in the hat for the other boat because you beat the king.
There's a good look at the ALTRONIX boat. Still having a good, listen, anytime you can finish in front of that ZIPP boat, you've had a good run.
You have.
And in motion, in the Baja Supercat Light inboard class, still out in front of ZIPP Express and the Eliminator Banana boat. They're down to 1 to go.
Doing fine.
And you can hear they're still trying. I mean, they don't want to give up. They're not going to back off and take second place. That's the mark of a great racer. Never give up.
Neil and Dan giving it everything they've got.
Let's go, Neil. Everything we got.
Ah, love it. Little encouragement, everything you've got.
Okay, keep it out right here. I want to get a good corner and set us up to the inside. Okay, go.
That's good. You hear the strategy. I mean, again, they're working like a team. I really like what I'm listening to. This is wonderful. They're talking back and forth, saying, all right, turn in here, get a good line. They're trying to catch up. Now, this is the last lap, so they know they have got a certain amount of time left. They know exactly where that finish line is.
See the marker?
Got it.
Perfect. You can see the boat that's leading them.
Just off to the right. Boy, they got that 36-foot Spectre wound up, and they're closing. Boy, they're coming after him. Here we go.
What are you going to do?
Go to the inside. He's going to try to stay.
See, they're guessing what the strategy is going to be for the leader. This is perfect.
Look, they're making lots of ground, Bill.
Ah, tremendous run.
Don't hit it.
Now it's going to be very close. Ooh, careful, careful, careful.
Marker's to the left, Neil.
I got it.
Boy, still having to find those buoys, battle with the other boat, deal with the glare in the rough water. This is fantastic racing.
Well, you know, and once again, they want to be really careful. He wants to check back and forth. Don't miss the buoy. Wow, right through the wake.
Go get it. Get that corner, Neil.
Got it.
Last lap. Come on, baby.
Their hearts are pounding right now. Look off to the left. That's the competition.
There's in motion right there. But, you know, it's the same story inside that cockpit as well. Just as much tension inside boat number 11.
Let's get him on the inside, Neil.
Yeah,
Come on, baby. Come on.
Look at him close. He's picking up.
Trim it down a little bit. Get a little more speed. Trim it out. Trim it out.
Trim it out.
He's trimming it out. He wants to get more speed. Look at this. Side by side, they're going to pass him.
With the World Championship on the line, trimming the boats out, getting everything up out of the water, putting as much horsepower into that water as you can, coming to the finish.
Giving it everything it's got. This has to be the last lap. These guys would not be honest. Come on.
Yes, he's referring to the helicopters right now. He's saying these guys wouldn't be honest if it wasn't the last lap.
To the checkered flag, and ZIPP Express wins the World Championship.
Wow, what a comeback.
Yes, that's it for sure.
Unbelievable.
What a great run by ZIPP Express.
Oh.
And these guys not having to work nearly as hard, but probably going to be world champions as well here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, it looks like it. They have really had a dominating performance today. That boat has just been untouchable.
On board, Hugh Fuller, John Tomlinson. Hugh Fuller, the driver. John Tomlinson working the throttles. A lot quieter in here.
You know, I kind of like this form of racing. You can race in short sleeve shirts and a pair of shorts on, and it's pretty comfortable out there.
Not a problem. Drambuie on ice, the national champions, now world champions as well. And there's the two boats that put on such a fantastic run here. And look at these two guys.
Yeah.
Tomlinson and Fuller, another championship for them. We'll talk to the newly crowned champs when we come back to Key West. He changes you. By Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant in the American Powerboat Association Offshore Pro Series. By Liberty Coach, the official motor coach provider of the APBA Offshore Baja Pro Series. And by Budweiser, Beechwood Aged Budweiser with the clean, crisp, refreshing taste known only to the king of beer. Well, here come all the winners back to the pier. Zip Express, boy, those guys are going to celebrate a little bit tonight. The winners of race number 2 will claim the APBA UIM World Championship. Bill's down at Victory Lane with the new world champs.
It looked like pretty much flat-out racing the whole way through.
Yeah, it was. We just we couldn't stay off of it. There was some rough, some smooth, and just come across a 4-footer, we'd be up in the air and landing sideways. But it was a great battle. We loved it. Competition was tremendous.
Neil, for a while, you guys were running second place, and all of a sudden you came by and you had this wonderful lead. It was just fast and furious.
Oh, it was exciting. It's the best racing we had yet, but we had some great racing all year, and this just tops it all.
Well, here's a look at the Super Cat Light World Championship standings now. Zip Express wins the title in motion due to their problems 2 weeks ago when this whole World Championships got underway. Will actually finish third in the world title. In Super V, the world title goes to Zenetics due to time. Let's go back to Victory Lane. Here's Bill.
You really have got one of the best records in racing this year. Racing, period. Whether it's cars, boats, or whatever. You've just been an awesome team. What has been the combination that's made it that way?
Well, you know, we've had some great competition. The two boats that I ran against were boats that have passed world V-bottom world record holders and national world championship boats. Are great quality of boats. We just had a little something on at every race. Sometimes we were a little better in the rough. Sometimes we picked a better propeller, and I just thank the Lord. I don't really know all the answers. We just had a great year.
Now, how hard did you run today? Because coming into this race, you won the last one by 16 seconds. You knew that you could finish second by a little bit. So did you push just hard enough to stay close to them, or what did you do?
Well, our strategy was not to race the leader, but to race the 16-second time span we had. We didn't want to push over the edge. We knew those guys would be pushing hard, as they did. And so we just kind of wanted to keep them in sight because we're running for the big picture. And that's the APBA World Championship. That's great.
And that they are, world champs. And in Super Cat, the race win goes to Drambuie on ice over Tommy Bahama. Drambuie gets the world title.
How is this to end a season with such a spectacular win?
Well, Johnny slowed down twice today, and it was during the cautions. The rest of the time, I think he kept the throttles down. We spent a lot of seat time together, you know, in the office. So the 2 weeks really helped us. You know, we were really slow in the turns before, but we really spent a lot of time with the boat trying to get it where it turned. And Johnny did an excellent job today. I can't say enough about him, you know. It was really tough.
John, how important was that early practice? You actually got out running the X-boat today.
Well, it gave me an idea what we had for conditions. It helped. I'm not going to lie to you. It did help. Sometimes we get the opportunity to go out early, sometimes we don't, and that was a big plus for me. It got me a little settled in. You know, I probably came out of the gate a little harder at the start than maybe I would have if I hadn't been out there. So that's a plus. And Hugh, the guy's awesome on the wheel, man. I don't have to worry about him. You know, he's on every single time, and when I can run the boat with that kind of confidence, I know he's not going to make a mistake. I can go harder.
And they did. Drambuie on ice wraps up the World Championship. And remember, this was a test for the 2002 season for them with a new boat. Boy, are they going to be tough to beat next year. Don't forget, we got a pair of APBA season recap shows coming up. One for the factory classes, one for the Super Series. They will both air on Friday, January 11th at 8 and 9 p.m. Make sure you check out www.speedvision.com for more about the APBA. For Bill Adam, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from the World Championship.